How's it going, everyone? Vlad here, and today we're going to be doing the first lab when it comes to OT networking. And this is going to be a very basic example on how to connect from our laptop to an IP-based device. And although we haven't necessarily covered the MAC addresses, the IP addresses, I believe it is important to see an example so that we can get excited and get something valuable out of this experience before we get into more theory and more whiteboarding. So today what I have in front of me is, as you can see, a camera on your screen, but I also have a piece of hardware, which is the PowerFlex 525 series from Rockwell Automation or Allen Bradley, along with a couple of different components. And so what you will need if you want to follow along, although I don't necessarily expect you to be using the same exact piece of hardware, but you want to understand how to connect to something in the field, whether that's on your desk or in your lab, or if it's in reality on the production floor. So here I have the PowerFlex. We're going to look on the data sheet in a moment, but I also have a couple of other things. So here I have an Ethernet based dongle. As you can see here on one side, it has a USB 3.0 connector, and on the other side I have a standard RJ45 jack. And the reason for that is over the years a lot of laptops have discontinued having a dedicated hardware port on them, so a lot of times what you will travel with is going to be one of these dongles. You're going to obviously need an RJ45 cable that goes from the dongle to the PowerFlex, which we will connect in just a few minutes, and you also need a screwdriver. I'm going to be using that for demonstration purposes, just to point at things, but basically if you're working with any of these devices, you're going to have to secure cables, you're going to have to check connections. That's going to be part of the exercise as well. And so the other important takeaway from this lecture is that we're not just connecting to a random piece of hardware, we're also connecting to something that you'll see in the field. And so I'm going to be walking you through the steps that I would approach, or that I would take if I was to be asked to connect to a new piece of hardware. And so one of the first steps, and I already have this pulled up on a different screen, is going to be to pull up or find the data sheet. And so some of these data sheets are going to be available by the OEM on their website. Some of them you will have to search for, but basically what we're trying to understand is how do we set an IP address for this specific device. And obviously I'm going to spare you the exercise of going through 274 pages, but there will be a section on parameters for the PowerFlex 525 series, which will basically explain how you can set the parameters for each octet of the IP address. And like I said, we'll get into the theory a little bit later, but the goal here is to configure an IP address on the laptop as well as on the drive so that we can ping it. And so basically here, and again, I've done this multiple times, what I can do is Control F, and I will just search for address. And hopefully, if everything goes well on this PDF, you will see that there's going to be a section, how to configure communication parameters needed for the application, node number, IP address, data links in and out, and a whole other set of different parameters. So as I scroll down, you will notice that PowerFlex 525 is going to have a series of parameters starting from C128, C129, C130, C131, C132 for the IP address. There's also going to be a set for subnet masks. And again, this is a theory we will cover a little bit later. But basically, I need to figure out how do I configure parameter C128 to parameter C136. Now, of course, if we switch over to the view of the drive, we cannot configure anything until we power it on. And once again, this is not an exercise on how to wire in a VFD. That is going to be a separate piece of discussion, but you will notice that at the bottom, I've already basically wired in 110 volts, and all that remains to be done on my side is to plug in the very standard outlet, again, the ground of which has been removed for a reason, but we will plug that in. So the drive is going to go through a boot sequence, which will check a couple of parameters. and allow us to set the parameters as the user. And there's going to be different ways of basically setting some of these parameters. Again, you can use bootp, you can use the configuration on the screen, you can use, in this case, CCW or Connected Components Workbench, but it's going to be up to you, the engineer or the tech or the manager or supervisor, to find the documentation as to how it needs to be done for that specific hardware. So as you can see, the drive is not faulted, it's showing 0 Hertz. And so what we can do here at this point is we can basically use the keypad on the front of the drive to navigate to certain parameters. And once again, the goal here isn't to discuss how to configure your specific drives. What I can do here is I can go to C128, which is going to be the first setting, and you'll see here it is already set to what we've looked at in the data sheet, which is going to be your parameters, and that's the option we're looking for. If I scroll further into C129, you will see that it's set to 192, and then further 168.1.7. So the IP address currently set on the drive, 192.168.1.7. And of course, we're going to just double check the subnet mask 255, 255, 255, and it should be 0 on the last one. Perfect. So at this point, we have an IP address already on the drive. We're not going to make that change. I did want to demonstrate a couple of other very important pieces of information when it comes to this drive. So number one, if you're looking to understand the data or the configurations of the actual hardware, it's going to be listed here on the side. What you will notice is that although you have the part number for the drive, you don't necessarily, and you also have the specs, we don't have the MAC address. And I've mentioned this in a previous lecture, that the MAC address is going to be static and assigned to each device that's going to be unique. So typically, as you can see here, we have both ports. I've already removed the cover. One of them labeled Ethernet IP, the other one labeled DSI. And it's very important because you can easily make the mistake between the two ports, as they are nearly, or I guess identical in this case, besides the labels. So obviously we need to connect to the Ethernet IP side. Once again, this will be discussed in the data sheet and at length explained as to why that's where we're going. But the other label that is very important here on the side of the drive, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this is where you will find the MAC address. And this is, of course, going to be unique to the PowerFlex. This is where the label is going to reside. A lot of times they try to put it as close as possible to where the RJ485 connector is going to go, but it is not always possible to do so. They're not going to put it on top of the circuit board. So this was the next best place. So what do we need to make the connection to our laptop? As I mentioned, I have this dongle. I'm going to plug in this USB into my laptop, and I'm going to connect basically the Ethernet cable on one side into the dongle like so. And on the other side, I'm going to connect that into my PowerFlex drive into the Ethernet IP port. And so I do want to give this a brief warning. So I'm doing this in a controlled lab environment. In the field, of course, you will need to hopefully power down as you're touching some of the high voltage side, or at least putting your hands close to the high voltage side. But be careful when you're making these connections in the field. So I'm going to put in this USB, and we're going to look at how to set the IP address on our laptop in order to be able to reach that drive. So as I had mentioned, the drive is at the address of 192.168.1.7. If I pull up my command prompt, which I already have a shortcut for, but you can also search in your Windows settings, I can try and ping my specific drive. So ping 192.168.1.7. And what you will see is that there's no response from that specific IP address. And the reason for that is that we have not configured the USB Ethernet dongle that we've just connected into my laptop. And so I want to go through this process with you because this is critical. And a lot of times the mistakes made by engineers and techs in the field are because they have not set the appropriate IP address. So I'm going to hit my Windows button, and here basically I can search for control panel. And so inside of my control panel, I'm going to find a variety of different options, as you probably would expect on a Windows machine. I'm going to navigate to Network and Sharing Center, and here is where things get a little bit complicated. So first we'll go to Change Adapter Settings, which will open the panel for various network adapters present on this machine. And so I do want to take a pause here just to explain a little bit as to what is going on. So you will see that there's going to be different adapters for different networks. Some of them are going to have the wireless symbol. Some of them are going to have a WAN signal, which we've already discussed in a previous video. A lot of them are going to be very confusing. I have a lot of different VPN software installed for different customer purposes. Now, the mistake here is misconfiguring the device that needs to be configured for our specific purpose, right? And so we plugged in an Ethernet cable into a device, and so we're looking for something that resembles the IP address or the name of that device. And so if we look through this, obviously that was not a Bluetooth device. Here you will see a Realtek PCI GBE family controller. That is the physical port of my laptop, which allows me to connect directly. Here we have NordVPN. Here we have ASICs USB 3.0. Remember, I had mentioned that that's exactly what we're using. So this is a USB 3.0 to gigabit Ethernet adapter. So that is a highly likely contender. We have TAP Windows adapter for OpenVPN. Again, this is a VPN client. We have multiple VPN clients. We also have VMware. So I have VMware installed on the machine for certain virtual machines that run as needed. But as I've shown you here, this is the adapter that we need to configure. Make sure as you're making these changes, you're not misconfiguring one of your other networks, because you will lose connectivity and you will create issues if you misconnect or misconfigure the wrong driver. So here I'm going to navigate into Properties. I'm going to navigate into Internet Protocol version 4. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit later. And you'll notice that there's going to be basically two options when it comes to either obtaining an IP address automatically or setting a static IP address. And so I'm going to select Set the Static IP Address, and I need to set an IP address that's going to be within the same range as my VFD. So 192.168.1, but it cannot be the same IP address as the VFD, because remember, we now have two devices on the network. We have the VFD and we have the laptop. So here I'm going to say 10. I'm going to click on the subnet mask, and remember, it's the exact same one as we saw on the VFD, 255.255.255.0, and I'm going to press on OK. I'm going to press on OK one more time, and that's when the changes that I've made to my adapter should take effect. So I'm going to reopen the command prompt that we have used previously. I'm going to press the up key to basically scroll through the previous command, and I'm going to press enter. What you'll see now is that we're getting replies from the drive, and we can basically ping the IP address of the specific device, and we're getting responses on all four of them. At this point, we are connected. I do want to mention there's going to be different tools in different manufacturers or different hardware that also allow you to see a specific piece of hardware. And so some of those examples may include BootP, for example. It can include your RS links. Some of the devices will have a dedicated web page. So if you type in 192.168.1.7 in your browser, you might be able to sign in to that device. And we'll see some of examples of switches that do have that interface, of Ethernet cards that have that interface. You're going to be able to use CCW or Connected Components Workbench for some of your drives. So there's going to be different tools to then communicate to that device, in addition to just being able to ping it via the terminal. But I would argue that this is one of the first steps once you've set the IP of your device to something different than it was. What are the first steps to make sure that it is actually communicating or responding to pings on that IP address? Hopefully that is a lot of information, but not extremely complicated. If you have an Ethernet-based or Profinet-based device, I would highly encourage you to go through the process of configuring it, plugging it into your laptop via a dedicated port or via a USB to RJ485 dongle, and making sure that you're able to go through these steps, configure your drivers correctly, and be able to ping that specific device.